Welcome to some new r/malicious compliance stories, where people comply to the letter, but not the spirit of a request. I hope you had a great day. The first story is called No Smartphones. I've been working with an automotive assembly plant for the past 2 years. My job is to coordinate the breakdown maintenance work, corrective jobs and maintenance work requests on the plant. If you ever worked in a maintenance job on site, you know how it is. On some days there's like no work at all, and some days the work will test your nerves. Most of the corrective maintenance I coordinate with different departments and shops is through WhatsApp groups. I've created groups with every shop team leaders and my team. Whenever there is an issue, my team gets a message with the problem described by the production staff, and then they attend to it immediately. The facility is pretty big and complex, and you definitely need phones to find someone if a maintenance breakdown occurs. Smartphones were allowed communication until a new admin manager joined. The new admin manager took only 1 week to implement new rules. He sent out an email on Saturday that as per company policy and to protect the company trade secrets, no smartphone is allowed on the site except for managers. I called my manager after reading the email and told him to please allow phones for maintenance staff. He said he can't do anything about the decision and I have to follow what management decides. Actually, he also said that you can't challenge the company policy and will oblige like others. I said okay and hung up. I took the screenshot of the email and sent it to all of my team. I told them that, as smartphones are no longer allowed, you are all requested to leave your phones in your lockers. On Monday morning, all of the systems are started again, and usually the corrective complaints are high on most Mondays. I asked my maintenance team of every shop to continue the preventive maintenance activities as per plan, and attend to the complaints when somebody from production approaches them. I also left my phone in my office drawer and left for a visit of the plant. When I was en route, someone from the production staff saw me. They approached and described their problem, and I told them that someone from my team will be here soon. But no one did, as the team was scattered on the plant. The whole day, the team attended only to problems they saw or were informed of in person. The result? Breakdown time percentage rose from 0.5 to 16% in one production phase, 8 AM to 12 PM. I came to the office at 12 PM after I visited every shop, and my manager asked where the heck I'd been, as he had been calling my phone for hours and there's chaos on the production floor. I showed him my dirty, greasy hands and that I've been personally attending many complaints from different shops and didn't even sit for 1 minute. I reminded him, "Sir, phones are no longer allowed on the production floor." That is why the complaints attendance time skyrocketed. He was speechless and left. The whole day went bad for the production staff in almost all shops. The next morning, the presentation by maintenance was without any pictures and the graph of the maintenance breakdown time was exponential. The pics are of corrective and preventive jobs attended on the previous day. Without pictures, you will never know what corrective job the presenter is talking about. The next morning, during the presentation, the GM and the CEO both were angry. Around 10 AM, I got a call on my desktop telephone from my manager that from now on, smartphones are allowed for the maintenance team. The next story is called Parking Rules. This situation happened a couple of years ago, when I would meet up at a friend's house every Monday evening to play board games with him and a now married couple. We are going to say that the friend's name is Matt. Matt lives in one of those neighborhoods where the houses are really close together and there are a million cars parked on the street. One evening we were wrapping up for the night and just chatting when we heard a knock at the door. It was the neighbor across the street and he was very upset that someone had parked in front of his house because that spot belonged to him. The car belonged to the married couple, who quickly apologized and said they were leaving shortly. They rushed to get their things together so they could move the car and avoid conflict. However, I had a different reaction. I thought it was extremely rude for him to knock on our door and demand us to move. I told the neighbor that there were no assigned or claimed spots and that you could park wherever you wanted. Obviously, you park in front of your own house or the house that you are visiting, if you can, but otherwise just park wherever there is an available spot. He didn't seem to have a good counter to my argument, but still continued to argue that he didn't want us to park in front of his house. Most houses on the street have enough room for one street parked vehicle on one side of the driveway. The other side was often unusable due to it being too close to the neighbor's driveway. In the best case scenario, on the shorter side you would have a small spot that would be partially in front of both houses. Due to the odd shape of Matt's lot, which was narrow in the back and wider in the front, he had a lot more space in front of his house on one side than most other houses. Enough for 3 cars. This is where the malicious compliance comes in. The married couple gets into their car and leaves, complying with the neighbor's wishes. Matt decides to give in as well and plays along with the neighbor's rules. He points to the 3 vehicles nearby and asks, "Whose cars are these and why are they parked in front of my house?" The neighbor looked dumbfounded, and after a moment of silence, he admits that 2 of these vehicles belong to his family. Matt replies, "So, according to your rules, you should not be parking in front of my house." The neighbor looked stunned, as his rules were actually going to hurt him much more than they would hurt us. Matt only had to worry about his and his roommate's car, which would both fit in his driveway. He only needed street parking when people would occasionally come over. The neighbor had a full driveway and 3+ cars on the street that he needed spots for on a daily basis. He didn't have enough street spaces that would clearly belong to him using his rules. The neighbor walked away in defeat, but apparently argued more with Matt after I left. The third story is called Send It Over. I work in industrial manufacturing for a company that does machine sales, parts and service. I had a customer ask about some cap screws that they wanted to replace. I directed them to Home Depot as they could get the number they needed for under $1. The customer got very unhappy that we are not willing to help and shocked we would challenge a customer on an order they want to make. They need these screws first thing in the morning and I will send them or will lose a customer. I say, "Okay, my apology. We will send you what you need priority overnight and invoice you in the morning." They paid the invoice and that was that. Or so I thought. Cost of screws 36 cents. Shipping $43.04. About a month later they call back and say they no longer need the replacement screws. I mentioned that they should just keep them. Yet again I get yelled at for being unreasonable. I respond by telling them they can send any unused screws for credit on their account since the invoice was already paid. Today I opened a package and added credit on their account of 28 cents. They sent just a few of the screws back and I estimate the economy saver cost of the label to be about $20. Not a big amount mind you, but still one of the most baffling things I have ever dealt with. The last story is called Fix It Yourself. I am renting a little house out past the suburbs of the city I'm currently working in. It is a little old and the appliances are a bit dated, but it was much cheaper than a 2-bedroom apartment downtown and I move around every couple of years for work. My landlord lives out of state and doesn't have anyone local, so for the past year and a half I haven't talked to anyone. Just pay my rent on time and keep doing my thing. About 4 months ago, plumbing issues started popping up and 2 major appliances decided to give up. I notified my landlord via email and written letter. I rent a lot and have learned to abide by the exact wording in our lease. After several follow-up emails and phone calls, a local handyman showed up to look at everything and provide a quote. After receiving the quote for parts plus labor, the landlord told me that they would not be paying for the repairs. They said that since I am an engineer, they would allow me to purchase parts, install them and then deduct the cost of the repairs from my rent payment. They said it was either this or learn to make do. I was not super thrilled at this response. I replied back to them saying if they were willing to deduct my time and cost of parts for my rent, that I would get started immediately. Thank you very much. They were thrilled to hear it and asked me to send receipts for their records when everything is finished. Great. Now to put together all the pieces and get to work. The first step was to file for an LLC with my current state. Next, I set up some cameras and borrowed a GoPro from one of my hiking mates. I was able to document all the repair processes, from me watching YouTube videos of how to do things to me making multiple runs to the parts store to get that piece I didn't know I needed. Here's the kicker. At my day job I make over $50 an hour. That is what my time is valued at. The final bill for everything has worked out to be about 12% higher than the quoted cost. And the landlord is very upset. But with my lawyer added to the email chain, they remained very civil. And with that, we end today's video. Let me know what you think about the stories. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the stories and today's video? I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like what I do and would like to support me, please subscribe and hit the like button. I hope you have a great day. Stay safe. Bye bye.